Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Jeffrey Epstein Show. I'm your host, Bobbycapucci, and this is a morning update. We've talked at length about Victoria's Secret being sold, and that has finally come to fruition. Victoria's Secret has been sold to the Sycamore Partners for a mere $525 million. So what that means is Wexner is out as CEO. He has to step down. He'll retain a seat on the board, but he does not have any power anymore in this company. He is now persona non grata, just a regular board member like everybody else. He is not the one who is going to put the vision forth. He's not going to be the one making the decisions. And he's certainly not going to be able to bring people like Jeffrey Epstein around anymore. So this is a good day. This is nice to see Wexner having a piece of this off. Of course, the real justice will be when Wexner has to answer questions and stand before the man. But this is certainly a good step. This is certainly a positive step in the right direction. Just like with Glenn Dubin stepping down, this is very important going forward. People like this have no business being in a position like he was in. I don't care that he started the company. I don't care that he was the founder. I don't care that he had all the vision to start out with. That doesn't mean anything when you're bringing people like Jeffrey Epstein around and giving them access to these young ladies that are working as models for you. There has to be a day of reckoning for that, and the day of reckoning is beginning now. With Wexner stepping back, it's a significant blow to him. He has run this company for 50 years. He's one of the longest lasting CEOs in the business, and he has been the face of this company for over 50 years. And for that to be pulled out from underneath him is very, very, very satisfying to me. Now, of course, this doesn't affect his overall arcing fortune or anything like that. But what it is, it's the first step of seeing this man face the justice he deserves to face. Because in my opinion, Les Wexner is hip deep with all of this stuff. Les Wexner knows a lot more than he says, and Les Wexner needs to be questioned. And to see him have to give up his baby like this, well, it brings me great joy. And the fact that it's the Sycamore Partners who pick over retail corpses the way they do puts a big grin on my face. I wouldn't be surprised if Victoria's Secret doesn't exist in a few years, if they completely pick its corpse and either radically change it to the point where they have no brick and mortar stores anymore, or to the point where it's just ceases to exist and they cash out on it. Because there's no love here for Sycamore, for the company per se. Sycamore's trying to get paid. Sycamore wants to turn this into a profitable business. Sycamore wants to do with this what they did with Staples. But as far as Wexner goes, he has zero say in the matter anymore. He is one member of a board that is already hostile to him. The activist investor group Barrington has been hostile in that boardroom for a while now. They've wanted to see change. They've forced this move. This is Barrington forcing this move, in my opinion. And I think that Barrington leveraged the Jeffrey Epstein situation and used it to make sure that Wexner had to piece this off, because there was no way going forward that Wexner and L Brands were going to be able to be successful with him as the face of the company, considering that the fallout is just beginning over this Jeffrey Epstein situation. What happens when the rest of those documents are released? What happens then? Who's named in those? Is this a preemptive move by Wexner? Who knows? But the fact of the matter is this: Wexner is out. The Sycamore Partners are in, and anybody acting like Wexner has a stake in the Sycamore Partners really doesn't know what's going on. I've seen some of that nonsense already, and I'm just going to avoid that. Look, not everything is a conspiracy theory, okay? Not everything is a huge conspiracy, especially when it comes to Wall Street. You have to understand what's going on Wall Street. These people, like Sycamore, the last thing they want is someone like Wexner involved, because it's bad for business. All the people at Sycamore care about is flipping this and turning it into a profit, and they cannot do that with Wexner at the helm. So Wexner is a persona non grata in Victoria's Secret as of today. He still owns a stake. He still sits on the board, but he is not in control anymore. And anybody who knows anything about how these companies work, once you give up your controlling stake, well, you are now a passenger at best. So Let's jump into the article at CNBC and see what they have to say about it. Article, CNBC, headline, Victoria's Secret to go private in a deal that values the once powerful lingerie brand at $1.1 billion. They valued it at $1.1 billion, but it was sold for $525 million. And my estimate was even way bigger. I figured it would go out, they'd piece it off for about $2.8 billion, but boy, was I wrong. This article was written by Lauren Hirsch. Victoria's Secret, which once dominated the lingerie category with its sexy image, will go private in a deal that shows how far the brand has fallen out of favor. And it's all from their own making. Victoria's Secret could have continued to be a thriving brand, but they didn't stay with the times. They didn't have their finger on the pulse. And a lot of that has to do with the management system that they had, and it was terrible from the top down, from Wexner on down. They were so stuck in the past that they couldn't get out of neutral and get out of the mud and move into the future. They thought that they were going to conduct business the way they always had, when in reality, that wasn't going to occur. There was no way that Victoria's Secret was going to be able to continue on the path that they were on and not go into bankruptcy. Private equity firm Sycamore Partners will acquire 55% share in Victoria's Secret from its owner L Brands for $525 million, the companies announced Thursday. Upon the close of the deal, L Brand founder, the 82-year-old Les Wexner, will step down as its chairman and CEO. He will remain on the board. And remember, I told you that this was contingent on them purchasing the company. With Wexner at the helm, there was no way that Sycamore would have went through with this deal. That was a huge sticking point for them. And believe me, Wexner tried to weasel his way to stay on that board, but it wasn't going to occur. There was no way that Barrington and Sycamore were going to put up with that. L Brand shares tumbled as much as 10% in pre-market trading after the deal was announced Thursday, likely a sign the market was disappointed in the deal, which puts a value on the lingerie brand of $1.1 billion. L Brands, which has seen market value of $6.7 billion, has seen its stock fall more than 11% over the past year. And that's mainly because Victoria's Secret was a weight around its neck, dragging it down. Bath & Body Works is a profitable entity at this point. But Victoria's Secret, with all of the drama, all of the fallout, all of the negative press, was just dragging the rest of the company down. And they had to do something. They had to sell it. L Brands will use the funds from the deal along with $500 million in excess balance sheet cash to reduce its debt. So basically, they have a debt of like $9.1 billion, and they have $500 million in excess balance sheet cash on hand, plus the $525 million that they got for Victoria's Secret as a purchase price. That brings our total only to $1.25 billion, and that's nowhere near. I mean, it's a little bit of an injection, but it's, one ninth of the actual debt that's held by the company. So I think that's a little, I don't know. I think that they really short sold themselves here with the price they got for the company, and I don't know how L Brands as an entity is going to survive this, folks. As part of its deal explorations, L Brands had explored a transaction through which Sycamore would have invested into L Brands through private investment in public equity, aka PIPE, to reduce L Brands' debt load. The company ultimately decided against such a deal, which would have been dilutive to its shareholders. So they were going to give them a line of credit as well to pay down their debt, L Brands itself, but ultimately, it came down to money. It came down to a situation where it would be bad for the shareholders, so they did not go forward with the PIPE, and they only went forward with the purchase of Victoria's Secret. Its Bath & Body banner will continue to run as a separate company. This is important for Bath & Body Works shareholders, for L Brand shareholders, because I think Bath & Body Works will continue to be a profitable entity, even in the brick and mortar apocalypse that's going on, because that's one of those stores where it transcends. It's not just one group of people or a little niche audience or a niche group of people who are interested in it. A lot of people I know, from, people that are in their 60s and 70s all the way down to, people that are 15, 16, like Bath and Body Works. So I believe that that's going to be a profitable company, but I don't think that there's any way that they could have moved forward with Victoria's Secret weighing them down, because with everything that's going on with Victoria's Secret, all of the chaos and all of the controversy right now, it's bad news. It is bad news for a company when you have that kind of thing going on. And Sycamore recognized what was going on, and they smelled blood in the water. There was chum in the water, and they struck. This is what companies like Sycamore do. This is the same thing they did to Aeropostale. This is just the way they roll. And it was about the proper time for Wexner to have to go. Wexner's departure is notable because he has long been closely intertwined with L Brands. He has come under fire both from the company's underperformance and his ties to the late sex criminal, pedophile, Jeffrey Epstein. I think they're underplaying that. I think that the ties to Jeffrey Epstein ultimately are what forced this move. The underperformance of the company, he could have survived that. He's built up enough goodwill with that company as far as his shareholders were concerned, that they would have let him ride out the wave of bad sales. But when you add in what happened with Epstein, and then the report from the New York Times about Resnick and the way that the whole entire environment at Victoria's Secret was basically predatory, there was no way for Wexner to stick around. Zero way. I think about the endless possibilities ahead for this company, and I've thought about where I fit in this picture. In keeping with this same thoughtful examination, I have decided that now is the right time to pass the reins to new leadership, wrote Wexner in an internal memo to the company obtained by CNBC. So basically, it's for the love of the company, in his words. It's all about the company. It has nothing to do that he's under extreme scrutiny right now, and he's starting to get the curtains drawn back on his BS. It has nothing to do with that, though, right? No, not at all. It's because I want new leadership in the company. No, you were forced out, okay? This was basically a hostile takeover. Wexner highlighted resources, expertise, and focus that Sycamore has to revive the Victoria's Secret brand. The private equity has a long track record of investing in retail, including acquisitions of Talbots and Torrid. Wexner also said that as part of the deal, it struck an agreement to split its Mast Global sourcing business, part of which will be focused exclusively on serving Victoria's Secret. Sycamore had acquired 51% of Mast Global in 2001, which helped provide the platform for its expansive retail investments. So Sycamore has, over a $15 billion investment portfolio at this point. They're involved in a lot of different things. And again, this is a group that's all about making money. This is a group that's going to look to turn Victoria's Secret into profit, and if they can't do that, look for them to ship it out, or they'll be forced into bankruptcy one way or the other, like Aeropostale was. The new L Brands will sharpen its focus on Bath and Body Works, which sells personal care products. The business has driven sales growth at the company, but has recently seen that growth slow as malls see lighter foot traffic. Upon the deal's closing, the company will promote Chief Operating Officer Andrew Meslow to CEO. He will also join the board. So Wexner is out as the CEO of L Brands as well. You see, this is why it's significant. This gives L Brands the out. This gives them the out that they were looking for without it making it seem like it was a hostile takeover and like they were pushing Wexner out, when in reality, that's all that this was. You really think that if this Epstein thing wasn't hanging over Wexner's head, that he would be selling this? That this megalomaniac, this power-hungry freak would be selling this piece of this company off? Or would he just batten down the hatches and, use his own billions to, ease the blow of whatever they lose? That's exactly what these people do, and they have too much pride, and they're too arrogant to ever step down for the good of the company. He is being forced out, folks. You got to read between the lines here. Barrington Capital especially is doing backflips over this. They're really excited. They've been trying to force this for a minute now. It is also extending an agreement with activist fund Barrington Capital Group, which disclosed a stake in L Brands last year. The firm last year had criticized L Brand's board for its close social ties and pushed the company to split its Victoria's Secret and the stronger performing Bath and Body Works businesses. L Brands last year agreed to add 2 new directors to its board and reached a truce with Barrington that was set to expire this month. Again, read between the lines. So their truce with Barrington, who owns a significant share at this point and has 2 seats on the board, well, that deal, their truce that they came up with Barrington was about to expire, and the whole entire cycle was going to start over again. Barrington was going to attempt to force Wexner out, attempt to force their will, and Wexner would have pushed back. Well, add in the Jeffrey Epstein fallout, and he had no leg to stand on. There was no way that Wexner could have gotten up in that boardroom and fought it out with Barrington and kept his seat. There would have been way, way, way too much loss of funds and scrutiny on the company as a whole. L Brand said Thursday it will continue to refresh its board. Board members Alan Tesler, Gordon G., and Raymond Zimmerman will retire at the date of their annual meeting. L Brands has also engaged Heidrick & Struggles to help find new board members. So how about that, huh? 4 board members in total. Out. See you later. You know what that's called, folks? That's called a culture change. That's called a change at the top, and we need to see more of that. And I'll tell you what, I'm becoming a big fan of Sycamore Partners, even though they're hard charging and they have zero compunction about putting companies into bankruptcy if they're not performing. I think that it's a very shrewd move on their part to do what they've done here and basically force Wexner out. Now, of course, Wexner still has his board seat. Rome wasn't built in a day, but I wouldn't be surprised within the next year to see Wexner retire completely and fade away, kind of like some of these other clowns are doing, because he understands what's going on. Wexner understands that the days of hiding in the shadows are over. Wexner understands that he can no longer use Jeffrey Epstein as his scapegoat or as his frontman. Wexner understands that his day is coming as well. And this whole entire sale is about that. That's what it really comes down to. Wexner knows that the writing is on the wall, and it is time for him to start, battering down the hatches and maybe go to the mattresses, because this is just the beginning for Wexner and his buddies. This year, I'm telling you, this year it's coming, folks. There is way, 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 way too much pressure on these people at this point, and they're not used to it. They're used to their parasites in the media protecting them, and even that's not occurring anymore. So I'm very interested to see where this goes, and I'm very, very, very interested to keep following L Brands and Victoria's Secret, this storyline, into its completion. So, I don't know, folks. It's something that I expected, but I am still shocked that it occurred so quickly. I thought that after the Tuesday deadline that maybe we'd see this pushed back a little bit and that Wexner was trying to weasel his way back into a position on that board, and I'm sure he did try that. But Sycamore stood their ground, and they made the move that they wanted to move. They made the move that they wanted to make, and they got the company for just a fraction of what I thought they were going to get it from. So this is a good move on Sycamore's part. I think Sycamore is going to make some money here, and what it also does is it's just another slap in the face of another Jeffrey Epstein enabler, and I'm happy about it. I'm very happy to see Wexner gone. I'm happy to see Wexner is being forced out. And I am also happy to see that there is some serious, significant movement in this case, folks. At the end of the day, if Epstein wasn't arrested in August, this is what you have to keep asking yourself. If Epstein wasn't arrested again when he was arrested, would any of this be occurring? And my opinion is no. So the dominoes are falling. Things are moving in the right direction. But, the full court press is still on. There is still a lot more to be hammered out. And it's all fine and well that he's stepping down as CEO and stepping down as president, but he's going to have to answer for what happened to Maria Farmer on his property. At the very least, he's going to need to answer for that. And we're going to keep going. We're going to keep pressing, and we're going to keep pushing for those answers, and we're going to keep pushing for the truth in this case. All right, everybody, I will be back later on tonight with the Daily Drop. I hope you all have a fantastic day. If you'd like to contact me, you can do that at Bobbycapucci at protonmail.com. That's BOBBYCAPUCCI at protonmail.com. And if you would like to help support the podcast, you can click on the GoFundMe link inside of the description box. All right, everybody, I'll talk to you later.